then deposits and secure their Orion monopoly. Global 24 equals over these supply military tech regulation where companies like the dominance of China when under delayed by U.S. by ratifying U.S. was critical supply ocean non significantly exceed land the largest CCC defense over stable supplies. China dominates with the U.S. and importers benefits substantial are as RJ local insurgency mean time for close demand growth creates an opportunity for China to cover RBM supply adoption. 24 Beijing operates database and share control of export dominance of the China activities of policy China. Control global availability to bid for RBM to exponentially territorial disputes over Senkaku. Beijing issued a warning that it may withhold RBM's concerns or increase when Beijing ban exports to Tucker. Mine selection and refining country considers the single trade supply chains, mineral dependence, question military readiness, escalating every hotspot. Ferrari 24 threats converge ME no crew, Ukraine no code nukes, and AI with the idea any could escalate rapidly. It could rapidly escalate if U.S. has supply vulnerabilities, dependency for critical minerals because insurance cannot. The local Taiwan able to China to attack mass insurance supply chains failing. Single U.S. not ready after society nation life resolve failing resilience for Taiwan hostage suspended rhetoric policies we problems over decades rather than years only ratification protects global fish stocks pop. 12th convention assure effective management of fish between the parties to eliminate IUU fishing American fisher. Adversely affected by foreign fisher who adversely harvest as party pursued of a nation divided by saying IUU causes war crime. 19 overfishing the collapse world fisheries and protections of remains and lead to food wars with food under stress nothing will not panic machines that employed atomic weapons of nation by refugees fleeing famine food and security drug use of nukes and wars like these arbitration of humans. Plan United States Autocom Party to United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea percentage preventing extinction in ways that the global people are irreversible and the floor for value moral certainty means risk right now always restoring no one is suffering justifies universal non-consensual death advantage to his credibility theory one is the crime for escalation universally with the northern sea arbitration specifically trying to decline faith and non-close bullying 24 you cannot alter Russia's arctic posture itself to low intensity war race resistance and escalation between vulnerability made enlargement of NATO fueling medication and vulnerability planning over confrontation and more grades on obsolete to probe absolute communication between Russian Arctic settlements and escalation which cannot be taken from enemy so this creates legal system and international waters covered law of the sea Russia banning UNCLOS interdict passion foreign assets and it's appropriate and it's no linking UNCLOS respond to fear of circulating ratifying UNCLOS border security and improves Arctic Council dispute resolution which specifically resolves NSR disputes for Arctic for U.S. Arctic Council that ratifying cannot submit sailings to CLCS to receive recognition preventing establishing territorial rules of the sea from islands of free transfer rights of Russia or ratification provide local legal protection of maritime interests and resources free council to bypass this agreement and under UNCLOS rather than cooperate for local to internal disputes and security NSR mental classification on the settlement binding what council knows operate specialty failure to cede the negative credibility with Russia the cause of Arctic escalation and collapse of collective action that's an impact culture for every risk made for 24 Russia which are from UNCLOS most and organized US CCS leads to the not party not ever do generally about the CCS speech bilateral mediation circumvent press ensures vegetarian practices provide ammo to refuse voluntary criticals like UNCLOS will and mutual enforcement democracy fostering explorated built to Kremlin exiting agreements to use non-participation for negative credibility the best real resi selling binding converting to allied interest on tax and infrastructure environment pro theoretical ratifying global to level government economic actions for opportunities transcend domestic and diplomatic benefits and Russia is defensive about the Arctic critical refusing limited accommodation is doing scenario for aggression English 20 threat inflation news into Congress and Arctic Russia's forces defensive and weaker performs the leadership 50 times as dependent on region access high seas only by short produce and number ignored countervailing forces that is fewer than bring new country air defense allies possess greater Arctic power protection exertion fuels built up real estate restoring nature including Arctic Council defense or anti-access regional missiles not push capability more than 6 Russia pushback joint accommodation or escalating conflict Arctic expansion sparks nuclear war with Russia Rep 23 Russia then choose nukes and precedent for tension Arctic abilities unsustainable the nuclear number of active regional conflicts leading to nuclear war with communication to Ukraine and its future disputes over decades to rise nuclear races extinction Belfield 17 nuclear war between US and Russia and massive smoke to outage causing winter rock global temperatures impossible to avoid threat of extinction where only possible to US and Russia 90% to nuke small war likely to the extinction scenario 2 is East Asia chances are high China set up increase of operations in the South Philippines territory farming the SCS and the flashpoint for territorial aspirations Bautista 25 SCS and flashpoint turning touches ramming near shoal lake something based on options for season to Chinese territory 2016 really invalidated China dismissed Beijing is sufficient to be ordered based on the Philippines or adopted door competition for US SCS but granted CSR guaranteed close contracts with Beijing mark crossing revolution future depends on global government rates is a cause of quick nuclear escalation Craft 24 China 16 developed nuclear triad nuclear force use against targets in Philippines intensifying conventional conflicts deployments in Philippines and Taiwan question for United States escalate very quickly high level tension WMD's immediate nuclear ratification towards alliances and checks back fiction any alternatives are totally listed where card 24 intensity and FPC free zone activity increase access to bases of superior massive modernization of coast guardian law enforcement creating regular presence American policies and disease ill-suited phone ops ineffective regulators and self-interest efforts to change law and restrict communist ratification of UNCLOS free zone approach up to explains ILO benefits from US failing to pursue declarative policies CIA not making every environmental self-deception from binding rules to legal lead consent signals rating capability push rules sort of credibility is the key gap in every station posture otherwise US is liability which destroys alliances FEMA 24 not arbitrarily keep rapping on asking others to accept ratification bill relations card race and inhibits ability to cooperate with US not operate phone ops and release allies and use behavior the broad US assumes risk cannot allies cannot see US as liability refugees provide access to the US as to support Philippines to deny illegal to challenge Russia ensure joining ensures military force protection and maintenance of alliance communities in East Asia cross to the joining which bring benefits and right to transit passage is essential for US insurance choke point federal US force presence maintenance of alliance commitments in East Asia any perceived wavering in US commitments cause East Asia employ carbon 19 alliance companies reaching the world critical assurance commitments and power loss conflict security commitments cause allies to accommodate Tokyo Japan and nuclear abilities and economic power perceived wavering commitments cause allies to develop nuclear war terror 16 nuclear missing nuclear programs from 20 global missiles 27 war Soko. Japan have detected field and short arrive in Soko. Japan nuclear symbolic cluster interior pretty developed Soko. Goes nuclear. Japan following would be an dangerous CCLS opportunities involving Japan Soko Nugo. China similar to India, Pakistan, China catastrophic conflict and greatly increased outweighs on time frame brewer. 23 single weapon according to Korea. Professor Yim could take single response to develop credibilities through new studies brands. 2070 what a country does today has no impact on tomorrow. A third with scholarship critiques political science using sensitive local states that honor commitments are more likely to win alliances to ensure future challenges if you're foolish. The Russian credibility watches to shape global views. I have like 30 seconds left. Let me find another card. Deep sea money, broadly inevitable gills, 24 I know who dozens of experts in DSM from business scientists and politicians, but they sound this is the feeling that inevitably across the spectrum, overwhelming opinion DSM will happen in a matter of months when and what form a company seek to erase reality, survive and shape this industry will money will demand for minerals is growing exponentially, EVs, wind, solar and electronics resources becoming scarcer. I'll send the card. Okay, reset in the email chain, the new card is at the very top of that. Yeah.
Okay. Where's the one you see red evidence that dispute settlement is effective in China and Russia when missing?
Okay, there's two pieces of evidence we read, one for each scenario. First, the Russia scenario, the Kirkpatrick evidence is really good. It says that U.S. joining UNCLOS allows for the Arctic Council to resolve disputes. In the status quo, Russia cares about the Arctic Council, but the Arctic Council is not allowed to resolve disputes because it's outside of its jurisdiction. Because the U.S. isn't.
How does UNCLOS ratification expand Arctic Council authority?
Sure. The argument is that the Arctic Council cannot make rulings on whether the U.S. on whether claims are legitimate, and the U.S. cannot make arguments about whether they're legitimate under UNCLOS to the Arctic Council because the U.S. isn't party. That's the Kirkpatrick.
Again, the Arctic Council is separate from UNCLOS. Why is submitting disputes to UNCLOS key to allow Arctic Council authority?
Because there's the argument that when Russia sees the U.S. is
right now the Arctic Council is resolving conflicts.
No, it is not. The Kirkpatrick evidence says it's being circumvented because Russia believes that UNCLOS is uncredible.
Arctic Council is getting circumvented, and Russia wants to be a part of that. The United States joins UNCLOS. Why does that make the Arctic Council not get circumvented?
The reason why it's being circumvented is because the U.S. isn't party. The reason why that matters is because the U.S.'s claims that the Arctic Council wants to dispute those claims are all derived from UNCLOS. Arctic Council resolves those. You cannot do that without becoming party first.
Okay, that's fine. China?
Sure, China, the Cardin evidence, Cardin, Feynman, also the Kroska evidence. First, Cardin, it says that it sets a clear signal to China that the U.S. isn't being hypocritical, therefore China also has to follow on. And not.
Okay. Sure, that's fine. The United States is no longer hypocritical. Where have you read evidence that hypocrisy is the only reason China is doing like operations and expansion?
Sure, the Cardin evidence says that it would be quote disrupted by prompt U.S. ratification because their justification is based on the U.S.'s belligerence because these claims in the South China Sea have no legitimacy under UNCLOS. The reason why the U.S. cannot prosecute them now is because.
Wait, so where have you read evidence that China listens to prosecution?
Okay, fine. I misspoke, not prosecution, but it would be like a signal to China that what they're doing
is. Why do China care about a signal?
Because China is also China is part of UNCLOS.
Yeah, but they aren't. Okay, your uniqueness is like this. China is not following UNCLOS now. Why does the United States ratification? Why is the signal of the United States ratification key, and then all of a sudden they start caring?
So right now, China, the only issue with UNCLOS is that the U.S. isn't party. Everything else is going fine for UNCLOS.
So the only reason China cares about the South China Sea, and is the only reason they make claims.
It's not the only reason they care, but it is the only reason why they have expanded independently. Even if we're losing a claim about soft power, the Kroska evidence and Feynman evidence talk about military force projection.
Signal. This would have to be resolved through dispute settlement. Where have you had evidence that China would listen to dispute settlement?
Okay, wait. Can you repeat your question?
I'm sorry. That's 5 kids. And anyone.
Good shot.
Give me 1 second.
Everyone knows. Anger must be read as and all elements must be satisfied. That's goals team 14 coding for precision. Legal definitions. Got top research with always competition theory. Thank you. One checks. Picture technique. Team shooters. Team leads. Disrupt from crowd round. Company security. Leads. Arbitrary self-serving creation. Use of the bond. Logical argumentation. Next. Settler claims. Mr. Producer. Short term settler stated research. Rounds of colonization. Everyday technique. 12 settler claims. Operates to total perpetuation of indigenous life. That represent ontological path. Research. Everyday structure. Not invent. They disagree. Indigenous people through law. Policy. Indigenous people must be responded to become property. Whereby exerted labor is extracted. Settlers making a new home region within homesteading worldview. And settler positions themselves as superior. And settler system is an internal crisis when it sees movement and instance that causes extinction. 18 settler geopolitical identity causes most different faced with existential theory, fear circulating rational anarchies defined by modern world colonialism, battle that allows them to fight today and goes fear forged by colonialism and terror crisis whiteness finds the authority will increasingly challenge because of awareness is struggling to hold an inability to look in the mirror for necessity which brings life on the planet to the end which causes a racial war and the inclusive colonial to the maintains imperial control dispossesses natives cover and all inclusives working with the states to remain sovereign over the easy indigenous people position as subjects indigenous people have legal and often limited been locked out of sea countries because in the state of affirmative control over ocean governance as cause extraction engagement is underscored by the indigeneity, territorial appropriation, legally non-nation is culture board particularly indigenous claims the state has mobilized the maritime environment to raise indigenous people vote negative for practices of refusal. King 17 the refusal is making the West being components of expressed by the universe knowledge under the horizon settlers and object of research expresses right particularity refusal is a refusal to erase your ongoing genocide and our interpretation of the affirmative object of research and negative can question the justifications and representation for refusal or fairness is bad for senior race 22 colonial epistemologies producing indigenous that constructs their real procedure fairness is epistemic confession that causes default for settler system to replace certain knowledge systems and a certain goal of colonialism embodied within spiritual land-based ways of knowing proposed by the name of settler future colonization's epistemic project and next the president Trump should preemptively terminate and close through executive order that prohibits virtual ratification. The United States Congress should declare that the executive order failure to ratify and close requires a limiting executive treaty to make a discretion because unilateral treaty modification exceeds constitutional authority of the executive branch counterpart enacts legislation and slated treaties from executive modification treaties justifiable judicial ruling that sets strong precedent in favor of congressional approval of work 20 precedent to unilateral termination and then is common within the court never covered Trump is withdrawn without a termination is political disability or reputation of cultural jurisprudence to preserve justiciability of Congress also passed a law requires consent to terminate a treaty a challenge would not be opposed to question which nor that the court displayed willingness to find disputes justiciable restraint non authority and itself better versus thrust to include with plan for goal 18 the ability to do unilateral withdraw from a treaty is left so they determine the power to withdraw solely within the executive hands of the federal president the power to undo critical agreements all the makes the treaty through the Senate subsequent president could remove us that Trump will be detrimental to influence and unilateral termination authority because it's in history 18th withdrawal as the president causes replaying of the war the United States responsible for enforcing the perception by obliging to appear to the different conventions it's impossible without them knowing the United States must exert its influence without war that causes a combination unilateralism causes war Washington is multiplied but as part of the deter allies power has been unchanged because China and Washington are alienated allies towards their part the liberal order that has created a cause where the United States would adhere to different groups chaotic order would increase instability leaves different thoughts breaking into different agreements and embodies the element of the order. Kosovo proves that all implies immediacy. Go back 19. Kosovo proves that if someone ought to do something analysis, if you can charge us to implement immediately, you want to know what it is because we're fair enough to plan to get idea. And the causes driven invention to speeches want to allow 5 minutes of shit up once you narrative notes and no if you use when you spec drop the argument, congress good, logical. Discriminant and felony spec should be excluded, they don't hold out accountable, it's just only to take arbitrary times ratifications unconstitutional. Clue 17. The constitutional objections includes dispute settlement academic and academic is not seriously considered within these objections of court decision strongly suggest meaningful limits of participation within international courts constitutional limits of participation clearly exceeded by automatic enforcement also includes compulsory orders binding by non-self-executing does not solve and this means that means the plan opens the floodgates to destroy sea sovereignty separation of powers. Clues 14 treaties have the potential to become a vehicle to accumulate power for does not sovereignty the federal government influence treaties cause have exceeding power the treaties are potential to supplant authority the separation of powers constitutional structure not let become a loophole that does send themselves the federal government evades them by treaties dual sovereignty would be previously undermined link alone turns the case outweighs lesser 20 the imperial presidency to become more powerful than intended in Leviathan armed weapons causes and eradicates civility and civilization increase by increasing causes unilateral authority that makes inflicting injuries on society power and all life and war making to planet as to be existential. Agreement 20 that US unilateral geopolitics precludes cooperation engages in geothermal games adversaries that causes disease, climate change, migration, proliferation, tensions, and peace. Ungoverned collapses of SCP would be found in hot checks and imbalances the main American presented. Life and support constitution has sidelined the result governments has been declined legitimacy at home no more. Appeal the United States becoming party refers to the Congress and the President stands no date the executive branch of Congress is adoption of international treaties and the United States should pass 2025 defense authorization streamline IRM production domestically get rid of environmental permitting social concerns and expedite timers establish REM mining facilities within Montana Institute where the agencies recycling and extracting critical materials for electronics that are related to they utilize and adopt covered non-nuclear policy in the Arctic and encourage NATO members and countries to do the same. Over constructive dialogue, Arctic Forum, including Arctic Council members, and induce those nations to participate. One solves armament scenarios and avoids deep sea mining. 24 Chinese ban on exports of minerals will be participating with the national security. China's weaponized the supply chains and causes weaponization of minerals that causes reliance on China's efficiency, causes strong coordination within different agents, causes a short timelines. The defense causes the Pentagon and land managers and systems that is not duplicated, causes certainty of protecting a war and air and this changes software. Otherwise, raw charges inserted for below. And this also better than DSM does like 24. Only 22% of waste is recycled. Recycling eliminates the need for extracting and seafloor causing trash and more copper and cobalt that would need to be produced. And second salts Arctic the regular 20. Given the different process laws for Arctic different members of the record system diplomatic engagement minimalist constructive dialogue that is included within chiefs of defense of the staff meeting that others would be excluded without dialogue. Misunderstanding would worsen. Cut the card worsen. And to the third plank solves escalation with China. The case. Weaponization is not unique. The opposite comparison, 12-3 China has begun banning exports of rare minerals with the United States sells gallium and curium, and a short supply would be halted in the deep sea mining case offered local minerals. 2024 the lithium and earth minerals are limited by other materials are not by the deep sea cobalt. Only two minerals with the DSM is capable of nickel or nickel. Others are human days uncertain supply is sufficient minerals unlikely to have an impact on supply and for copper and magnesium demand. Cut the card demand. No overfishing impact. Price 20. The benefit is working with an increasing abundance. There is a new study that gives optimism overfishing does not describe anywhere else. Instead has begun to increase. Cut the card increase. The second advantage Russia complies less than the United States. 24 the issue of the denunciation of the councils. The Arctic is underestimated. Chairman of the parliament told the news that they were not going to New York Department. Trump even has said is no longer believes that these were 64% of it belongs to Russia. Even if China US reclarified law, China ignores block at 16. China would not accept the ruling against international legal case. Judgment would be overwhelmingly in favor of the Philippines depriving China of the 9-dash line and China cooperates with ally if it's beneficial. The second is beneficial to the adversary. Just ignore adversary. 23 the China ally must not be challenged. The legitimacy stability should be protected. The state international if the rising China's power by ally China would reinterpret blatantly by the law for instance not find the ILO conventions and contradicts the searches claims and if you guys will go the distance to avoid ally relationship 20 the treaty intentions change and reassurances representative for control for participation of allies do not have protection see how other options by consequences for the patient arms will that exacerbate insecurity draws out allied nuclear proliferation causes the risk of our future will be concerned and incentivized to reassure relatively allies will use their alternatives to extract assurances. Yeah.
Status.
Comment.
Counter plan, you skip first strike Russia.
Yeah.
First strike Russia. Okay. I heard the hedge. Is there any accepted like voting issues?
That's in the doc, but
oh really?
yeah, nothing accepted.
Okay. Let's start with this counter plan. Can you explain to me like how the counter plan results in the outcome?
Sure. So the counter plan begins by passing an executive order to ban the plan. Then it has Congress challenge this, or it has Congress say that the failure of Trump's executive order requires that they remove Trump's treaty-making discretion, which causes no longer a political question, which it means is justiciable within the Supreme Court, which rules in favor of Congress and thus compels Trump to pass the plan.
Okay, why would Trump not just roll the plan back? Like, why
because the counter plan prevents him from having unilateral treaty authority, so it'd have to pass the Senate. The Senate just challenged him on this issue, so it wouldn't get overturned.
Okay, let's go to the advantage counter plan. Can you explain how the National Defense Authorization Act solves?
We inserted the Ferrari evidence. It says that it solves for shortages, it streamlines U.S. REM production, is able to create manufacturing, permitting, and clean energy.
Okay, the card says they put made gestures acknowledging this is a critical issue and this is something we have done. Where does this card say it's sufficient to solve?
The rehiring?
No, that's what I'm asking. Like, which part of the rehiring says it's sufficient?
It says that it would create new manufacturing locations, environmental permitting, clean energy goals, and allow for an isolation of status.
Set call, have you made an ontological claim?
Yes.
Okay. Mishra, how does it cause extinction?
Sure. We say that focus on extinction is the way the settler state reifies itself, which causes conflict and thus a racial war that increases the divide, which means that the settler system will inevitably collapse on itself and cause a war through divide that causes extinction.
Okay.
It says, I quote, threaten is in a terminal crisis.
Okay.
That will bring life
So,
to an end.
The alt, can you explain what refusal looks like?
Sure. It begins with refusing the affirmative and it builds up to movements of decolonization.
Is it something that you do or is it something that you feel?
It starts with the refusal of the affirmative, so I guess it's something I do.
Okay. How does that spill up to broader changes?
it's a move towards decolonization. It says that it reverses. It's a move to reverse erasure.
Okay.
It's not
Did you read the first card on case?
The decolonization stunt. Yeah.
Yeah. You read the Arctic point?
Yeah. Every group except this group 1 and 2 are all working.
Okay, so there's remaining in the other. Let me know whenever you guys get it. The order is the case in the order of advantage 1, advantage 2, the set call K, the advantage counter plan, the treaty powers counter plan, the constitution. Wait, sorry. I'm sorry for getting going out. But it's case, advantage 1, advantage 2, T, the critique, advantage counter plan, treaty, the advantage counter plan, treaty powers counter plan, and then the constitutionality unit. I'm sorry, somebody needs to repeat that.
Give me 1 sec to download, then I might have you just confirm if that's okay. Alright, I'm good, just read the order, just.
Okay. Case, advantage 1, advantage 2, T, set call, advantage counter plan, treaty powers counter plan, constitution unit.
I'll do that.
Okay.
They say what position on, and you don't need to win this because we're going to run out of land-based source. They dropped the DT money code significantly exceeds all land-based sources. The allows China to have a monopoly, which causes war because the U.S. doesn't have any military strength. They say no overfishing. It's not about IUU. Our scenario is that random fishers will break into other people's places, and that causes war because people fight overfish. They say Russia complies less we do the plan. No, Arctic Council solves because Russia cared about the Arctic Council, dropped English evidence. They have empirically complied, and the only thing that's holding them out is the fact the U.S. doesn't end there. They see China ignores. They have all just conceded defense. The Church scenario, they say go to distance. Doesn't solve because they dropped the phone up to the code bedrock of East Station Alliance commitment, drop it goes nuclear, blows out heavy hot, drop it out, waste on time frame because they can proliferate within 6 months. Credibility theory is true. They also didn't read credit theory wrong. Go to T. Counterinterp and or means either dictionary, either or both, one after round, there are only 2 after 2 picks are unrelated. We lose them. Now go to the set. Okay. Framework with the application uniquely still plays found implications, the unpredictable in the burden of sugar crease, private balances, and listed players fees, minimizing fairness and clash fairness, that waste one salty about and trails, alternate can remedy unfairness, clash turns or offense, limited, robustly iterated over IPC's no subject formation, which is only their offense, all causes to debates, switching sides, competitive incentives, loss or internalized technical errors will change blocks on minds, bad, good, advantage, transfer, bad notes, whether technically winning them, do both, double bind, either all overcomes the link or can't overcome status quo, loss or internalizes, or can't overcome the status quo, only over 100, and still land recovery pre-progress possible, good luck 23 land back, on rebels, manifest destiny, boys, double the land of the conservation fund. 56 helps tribes land acquisitions more than ever. Tribes or recovery lands at least 100 purchases, donations, transfers, and legislation. Mishra and Clip to Hell has no warrant at all. Tucking Yanks has the word ontology, but does not explain why it's an ontological structure. Just that there's bad extension ways. It's global, painful, irreversible, and it's a fair value. Drop from the money seat. Go to the advanced card. Permutation do both do any plain common NDA cancel all. It says the argument says it's a necessary first step, not sufficient, and will eventually run out because they drop the land-based goes to the Newfoundland Institution cross by from case Montana complement cancel and the deficit is buff. Land-based cancel is to land-based will inevitably run out and causes U.S. military dominance to try and decline. The Arctic scenario stuff cannot solve because all this why the Arctic Council cannot not sufficient because Russia does not know Russia never know Russia does not Russia cannot do the dispute claims to the Arctic Council or Arctic Council, which is the only thing that they trust conditionalities to voter. 1 year is too short to cover to conditionalize the voter to multiple conditional options skew the 1 and 2 to prevent strategic straight turns. This was solved again. Kick it if we permeate 1 or 3. Anything else means infinite abuse. The 1 and 2 space can't solve because we can't pick everything in the 1 and 2. Go to the treaty powers code. Kosovo is definite, it's just not a definition. It says the word ought, but does not mean that everything with the word ought must be certain. The counterplan cannot solve. Signaling the process regular. Process counterplan solves foreign signals to our allies that freak out. That's Iconberry 101 outside the world. See policymakers work global research with driven by efforts to render power predictable and overcome regional and serious elements better, most stable, political, made predictable, regularized way. Cut the card away. Perm do both. Perm do the counterplan. They all console conditions. It's not that speed. Kills fairness, error, after the time and management recovery speech. Perm do the United States ought to go party United States belongs to the United States Congress should declare the unilateral should not accuse the constitutional or the executive branch ought not during or immediate second court. Man and should is something that ought shall two shall express command, which is mandatory, thus should recommend congressional leadership years from liberal cooperation, limits on presidential resource, the lack and term cooperation, another 15, U.S. pursuit engagement, protect security, prosperity, establishment defense, ties admin every nation, U.S. turn on track, partisanship, decline internationalization, president's role diminished, FOCO, veer from international unwilling to advance, resources shaping FOCO and leading engagement over lines on military requires Gov represent U.S. in negotiations, Congress bloc, union tenor leadership, politics, prevent co-op, Congress, it also can't solve certainty, either they feel the court's ruling in favor of Congress, read the conflict mandates, yeah, or they don't, which means they haven't read the bill of Congress, the court would rule in favor of the plan, and we should, I've inserted the Feingold evidence as a rule in favor of the president, since no impact control, constitutionality. No. The restraint is good, far right course causing extinction pressure. 20 union express hope that 50 states covering the evidence on Earth can cooperate over big problems, including pandemics, economic crisis, health, climate, terrorism, immigration, pressing issues, humanity, life, and other block concerns. Limitations on power, Republicans, constitutional judges go too far, cut the card too far. Now, court is captured by Trump daily. 22, the court overturned 5 decades of reproductive rights, and actually, the conservative majority holds absolute control of the far right vision the rule of law. Cut the card, rule of law, restraining the court's age democracy facer. 21, the threat toward progress, the conservative court, the worst opinions about voting law, religion, arbitration, the court may impose the greatest citizens of democracy.
Can you send where you marked the cards, or can you just tell me?
Yeah, I can tell you. Kaiser marked at existential threat to democracy.
Oh, you only marked cards on the person.
Wait, no, I was gonna go for it. Okay.
Yeah. Alright.
Oh, wait, which part do you want to tell me? I'll go
Yeah,
to
just did you mark it while you were reading?
I was marked it while I was reading, but I've been read mode, so is it fine if I send it?
Yeah, you can just send it.
They're marked wherever there's a double space.
Yeah. Only voters common.
Yeah.
Didn't say the assault.
Which is what?
Circumvention or the decide.
Yeah.
kicking the counterplan in the band plan, or kicking the band the plan counterplan and the critique their conduct as a competition, not a shift in advocacy on the dissent. Eroding checks and balances and separations of power is perceived internationally as causing extinction to climate disease, pollution, and hotspots, which is a conceded impact. So even if they get a risk of the impact turn, it doesn't matter because they dropped. And the impact that turns outweighs the case. First, magnitude artifacts outweigh in turn every part of the after plan. Opens the door for non-constitutionally based interpretation because the president can act independently that allows the court to join in agencies and destroy every facet of life. Second, time they concede that constraint is necessary for solving present problems like adjudication over war, parts, refugees, governance, and more breakdown. Immediately emboldens revisions to escalate because the United States were to be incapable of a response. Now, here's from the ban the plane counterplan dropped circumvention, which says that Trump would just overturn UNCLOS, which is conceded evidence that says that it's within Trump's plans, and a name drops law of the sea treaty, which says that Trump would just go back on it. Never read plan popular, which means that Trump would hit the plan and just reverse it immediately, which was conceded when flips the case. But the dissent still links because it's still viewed as passing an unconstitutional treaty. Now they've dropped an external impact. The plan creates loopholes for the president to circumvent the courts through treaties, which jettison limits on veto power, which is the Cruz evidence that causes extinction and separates will of law by embodying now unilateral unchecked executive branch to quote end life on earth with WMD says the lesser evidence at Western magnitude. Extensive deployments from the executive cause basic large scale conflicts of bullet and terrorism to deliberate escalation, exacerbating every impact. Independently it's worse because it means that there's no checks on the president, so there's no ability for us to be, so there's no trust, so that it destroys credibility to allies, and Russia will not perceive strong United States governance because it's solely based on Trump, not based on checks and balances as a system, which was the impact overview done above. Now here's the framing issue. They've answered the wrong disadvantage. Our argument is not that Congress would lash out and restrain the courts. Our argument is that the Congress has to keep it. Our argument is that the plan would result in the judiciary. Our argument is that the plan would result in a treaty overwhelming the Constitution and being seen as held above the Constitution, which is the Cruz evidence, because if an unconstitutional treaty is passed, then it would supersede the Constitution, which is the coup in Cruz evidence, which says that it would be seen as further, which allows for unilateral executive and destroys separation of powers, because the president could just create new treaties that functionally just create new laws without checks and balances, and can just assign it into any treaty, and there's no check on it because the president has unilateral authority, which was conceded from the counterplan. Their quote motivated, which was the conceded Cruz evidence, which means that nowhere in the one which means that there's no link to the impact term, because nowhere in the one claims to restrain the courts or even involve the courts. Our scenario is that the courts confirm the plan, but that it violates the Constitution, which means that fiat triggers the link. The drops of the plan cannot be the courts become party means only Fed and Senate, which means that the courts cannot overrule it, and also anything else, which means that they cannot solve the advantage. The counterintuitive in the status quo should always be a logical option. Was conceded neck flex and testing from the 1C abstract to leniencies at an all-time high topic is unworkably massive. Only flexibility with number and consistency allows to keep the negative in the game, and testing for multiple angles maximizes the clash. Participant fails because there's arbitrary less attributes. The tuner makes multiple counterparts and possible links to all their standards, and procedural topic having one card just has all lap offense. Now, going for the advantage counterplan, the NDA playing stalls for all REM production domestically. It creates the manufacturing facilities that the 1EC evidence says that we're lacking in it, and also streamlines production, which means that in the short term, when we've already had REM shut off, we're able to sustain that. There's no quote long-term impact, which was made up by the 1 year, not a sufficient argument, and I'm going for the get rid of permitting. It's able to create incentives for companies, which overcomes the certainty internally of the affirmative, because it allows for companies to immediately view certain and view the obligations as certain, and then go on from there. And also going for good too. It solves the plan because it opens up dialogue on the Arctic front, which is able to overcome current blockades to Russian agreements within the Arctic Council. Solves better than the case, because the case does not affect the Arctic Council, but the counterplan directly opens up the Arctic Council to dispute settlement, which means it's able to solve the case better. Now the case. The first advantage is empirically thought because shut off already happened, but there's no impact. China never invaded, which is their only terminal. Quote run out of REMs in the long term is a non-starter because it's not an impact in the 1EC. It's also not something that would happen. Which is also not something that would happen because the United States is obviously able to export things from other countries, which is done on the advantage counterplan. The framing issue for the rest of the advantages, the framing issue for the Russia advantage is that the cases that they have not run evidence that says that dispute settlement solves or the countries will listen. Their uniqueness is so much ahead of sovereignty. Russia circumvents disputes and would never follow along with rulings. You do not follow the Arctic Council, which is something they want to be involved in, while they care if the United States joins UNCLOS if they have a united signal that is not substantiated by evidence, and also just not a thing because the United States has joined a bunch of other treaties. They do not feel threatened by Russia because they have veto power over things like the ICA, so they just don't care what the United States has to say. Russia is also considering withdrawing if the United States ratifies. It creates compliance because the Arctic rulings from the UNCLOS are too close to quote their detriment. In future, Putin will no longer follow rulings and eventually eventually go out of the treaty, which is conceded Veracanda evidence, which is conceded Veracanda evidence outweighs that. The final thing I have to answer is Alec Post. I'm not going for cred solve, but they said that go the distance and phone ops are key, but they have conceded that the United States will do things that overwhelm the influence of phone ops. They will do things like flush their partners with cash, allow them to have more military deployments, and increase the protection and guarantees of those, which is the increased guarantees increased guarantees, which is the Blankenship evidence. It says that it allows them. It says that the obligations and treaties are so important to the United States that they would do whatever it takes. Sorry, I was a bit messy, but just to clarify, the link, read the Cruz evidence. The link is that the plan would destroy state sovereignty because a treaty would be overriding the Constitution, which means that treaties are passed and thus override the Constitution. So the Constitution is held in a lower standard than treaties. And thus, Trump could just pass any treaty, and that would cause extinction, which is a lesser evidence. It also destroys separation of powers because there's no checks on what policies that Trump passes. And it supplants authority and destroys our constitutional structure, which was conceded.
Wait, the circumvention argument, where in the Wine and Sea is this?
The second card of the Bandit Plan counterpart.
What's the card?
Like painful or something?
Case the advantage counter plan, yeah.
Case, which page?
Advantage 1, advantage 2.
The tuna might have been blown beyond the DA, but they dropped the scenario. They conceded that IUU causes war because of overfishing, collapses of global fishery fishermen will go into each other's territory. That causes war and empirically escalates. They dropped the crib evidence. Hundreds of years of empirics prove that fish wars have escalated because we all fight over food. Dropped by the tuna. It always our probability because the scenario is conceded. It's not 100%. And even if you think the scenario is silly and the vacuum was conceded, that probability outweighs there's infinite scenarios that could potentially be try or die. But you know that the app solves this. But you know that the app does solve for scenario, and that anything else would freeze policy making. Anything else would freeze policy making. It also always on time frame because fish wars are coming. Fish wars are coming now. Fish wars are coming now. Even if the court scenario would destroy separation of powers, there would all be long-term impacts on what court rulings and what Trump treaties would pass. But it does not mean that those things would immediately happen. Which means even if the link is immediate, the scenario is not. The scenario is not that. The Russia turn does not matter because it's not offensive. And we know the Russia turn is not having an offensive implication because you know breakdown happens now, which means it does not matter regardless. There's also no impact extended to it, which means it does not matter. And there's also no Russia. Some risk the Arctic Council solves it because through remediation now the overall see that the U.S. will do things that overwhelm the incentives on the alliance proliferate, which means that there's there's no impact, which means that there's no impact to any of the alliance stuff, which means the DA can't turn it. The advantage counterplan. The advantage counterplan does not matter because advantage counterplan does not matter because they're not going for any, because it does not answer any of the scenarios I have extended, and also irrelevant because it's just irrelevant because they're not answering any scenarios I extended. And also conceded defense in case, so the case can't be an advantage counterplan. It works for me to go to the DA. Look, I don't think Miller knows what separation of powers is. If the argument is that the plan would destroy separation of powers by destroying the ability of giving Trump unilateral power, we have read evidence that says the power of the courts needs to be restrained. That would cause extinction. Drop the evidence because the lack of trust in courts, the lack of public trust in courts would destroy public trust, destroys the ability to respond to every existential threat. There is no link argument because their evidence says that there would be an imperial presidency post-plan. That is the destruction of the court's ability, because the thing that's holding back the courts for Trump president is the courts, which is explained in the 1 year, which means that even if they're winning some risk, an impact doesn't matter. Now, the circumvention argument was clearly new in the 2 hour. You should read the evidence after the round and the tag of the evidence. None of that was actually in the tag. And durable fiat obviously solves. It was new, and it was new in the 2 hour. Obviously, would take out their own DA2 because they get ruled back. Nobody would care about the ruling, which means it would be utterly irrelevant. Regardless, it was just not in the 1 and C, and it's new in the 2 hour, which you strike off your flow. Now, their arguments about how war powers are really bad might be true, but none of their evidence has comparative analysis. We have read evidence that says that the imperial court, that the court specifically would cause extinction because the court specifically would cause extinction because it's completely untrustworthy, which means that even if Trump would have unlimited unilateral reign, it is no better than the courts, which are the alternative. Well, they have dropped a scenario on case that is faster than the DA, and they have not kind of comparative impact algorithm between the app and the DA, only asserted that the DA's impacts were really big, which means the app definitively outweighs the debate.